high mountains are not unfamiliar in Skyrim. However, the tallest one in the entirety of Tamriel lies to the south of Skyrim. The Throat of the World is home to the legendary 7,000 Steps and the Greybeards, who called onto us in the last episode after defeating our first dragon. Our goal here is simple: climb the aforementioned 7,000 steps and meet with the Greybeards, who sit patiently in their abode, waiting for our hero to safely scale the mountain. But we both know the road only gets harder the closer you are to the top. Upon arriving at Whiterun, we are greeted by our good friend the courier, who probably just wanted an autograph. Never mind, he gave us a letter. Another fan, how pleasant. Never mind, he was a door-to-door salesman. Unfortunately, I don't think defeating a dragon attracts that many fans.
I need reliable people around.
I don't even know who you are. So we decided to read the letter we got and quickly noticed something odd. This was an inheritance letter for Lydia's death. However, aside from that, we have a grand goal today. We need to climb the tallest mountain in Tamriel on legendary difficulty. Now, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but I'm not particularly good at this difficulty, seeing as this playthrough is the first time I ever touch it. But hey, I've played this game for 10 years now. I can probably manage. But what I was not entirely able to manage was this random fort we stumbled on. With no second thought, my minimal self-control decided that it would be a good idea to attack a heavily armed fort filled with mages. And although the first mage took a little too many hits for my interest, he finally went down after about 20 years. On him, we found a staff of zombies, which I expected to be a little more useful than it led on to be. It was also at this moment where I found out that fire equals ouchie. Do not bring magic to a sword fight. Do not bring magic to a sword fight! After, tripping on the stairs, we got back up and continued our way towards high ground, where we ate an alarming amount of carrots and some flour, hopefully mixing up a carrot cake in our stomach, which conveniently gave me enough strength to defeat the mage. Alright Lydia, any second now. We'll beat them eventually. We did it. Good job, Lydia. Inside the fort wasn't any better, as I managed to flank a mage and stunlock them for another couple of centuries, while Lydia took care of the other ones. After we cleared the area, it was kinda peaceful. I tried to loot what I could, but found nothing good, unfortunately. Me and Lydia sat down, and I offered her a drink, which she disrespectfully refused. Now, all that was left was for us to enjoy our peaceful walk until we reached the town of Iverstead. Grayed out stones lined our path, and the moonlight led us to our destination. That is, of course, until we were rudely interrupted by this odd fellow that approached us with his dagger out. After a while, it seemed like he didn't really want to hurt us, so we let him stick around. We could use all the company we can get our hands on out here. Well, I guess we just got ourselves a new follower. That is, until we got attacked by a saber cat, which he kindly assisted us in defeating, and then proceeded to attempt to rob us after we were done. Which he did a horrible job at, by the way. He really didn't put up that much of a challenge at the end. And that was mostly thanks to the saber cat. We went ahead and requisitioned some of the goods that he had stolen in the past, before waiting for the weather to clear up and admiring the view. Farther down the road, we were unfortunate enough to come across a cave, which by looking at from the outside, any sane person could establish that it was a bad idea. My bad self-control came back to haunt me, and I dashed right into the Cave of Death. The first room was simple, with mere skeevers in my path, and the room after that had a bunch of witches, which were less deadly than they made out to be. However, the real treasure here was the Staff of Paralysis that we found. Now, despite me playing this game every other week on this channel, something tells me that Staff of Paralysis is going to be really useful. Outside of the cave, the weather was back to being cloudy and gloomy, which is never a good sign. Eventually, we met a man sitting at the side of the road.
You're looking a little rough around the edges. You feeling all right?
I say the same thing to you, sir.
Are they gone?
We offered to help him return to camp, although I felt suspicious of the situation.
I'll be right back with
I didn't really think twice about what was going on. Well, this is awkward. Lydia, help me. As much as I would like to admit that legendary difficulty is pretty annoying, I will say that it is particularly difficult to clear out a bandit camp when there are about 5 incredibly tanky enemies in your face. Unfortunately, this is where things got grim for us. I tried to escape, but Lydia just couldn't keep up. No sound but the rain pouring. That could only mean one thing. As much as I didn't want to admit it, it was the only way to progress. We weren't far off from Iverstead, so arrival was imminent. It was a tiring journey, but we finally made it. As soon as we arrived, we were greeted with a sight most unpleasant. Our friend, the courier, was back. He foreshadowed the loss of our ally before, and this time returned to rub salt in the wound. Her name on the paper was painful to read. I was distraught. What would I do without Lydia? She was my meat shield, protected me from all dangers. My only clear solution was the tavern, and so we stayed there. I'm not sure how many hours have passed in here. Days, maybe? Weeks? I lost count. It all seemed so hopeless without Lydia. The days were ever so gloomy. Rain felt like it came every passing day, and every walk outside was met with a terrible feeling of dread. Unable to move forward with our lives, everything takes us out in a single flick of the wrist. That is, until we were reminded of the goal in the end.
What could it mean? The return of the Dragonborn? And who among us could possibly hold that on? Such power.
It was us. We were the Dragonborn. If Lydia couldn't join us, then we could climb the throat of the world in her honor. So I collected supplies and I went forward to take the first steps up the mountain. I had faith that this task would be simple, but not easy. A little up the way, we met our first enemy. Nothing that we haven't really handled before. We dealt with it swiftly, so we could continue our way up the mountains, filled with determination. Before we know it, we started seeing snow on the ground. We braced through the cold. We have fought harder battles before, and chilly air will not best us yet. However, this saber-cat might. And it almost did for that fact. We took a big hit that caused us to retreat and heal while trying to come up with a plan. I found a way to exploit this game's wonderful hitboxes and ended up taking it out really easily. Now, we felt powerful. Our luck and janky code was helping us immensely, so we gathered what we learned and breezed through the next enemy and continued our pilgrimage. We met a friendly face eventually, but not everything would go as planned. A dragon swooped down, and to be fair, I was really shocked at this, as I have never seen a dragon here in my 10 years of playing this game. We tried fighting it, but who would have known that dragons would be incredibly strong and tanky? Not me, apparently. And as luck would have it, we did not actually come close to dealing any damage to him. In fact, he pretty much just one-shot us while we ran and cowered in fear. So a smart person here would count their losses and run. Right? Well, thankfully, I'd consider myself to be pretty smart, and so I made my way and legged it as fast as I could. Thankfully, the dragon seemed to be more interested in the hunter we met earlier. Then I remembered that there was something worse than a dragon ahead of us. A troll. Because unlike reptile wings back there, this guy not only takes absolutely no damage at all, he also heals all the damage you could ever possibly throw at him, and I had no fire spells that actually dealt damage, so this was a little bit difficult. After a few deaths, we heard a very familiar rumble. Our dragon probably finished his dinner from before and wanted seconds. And around this moment was where I thought this day really couldn't get any worse. But fortunately, he targeted the troll, which I thought would help, but it really ended up not doing much at all. We got his health to about 9/10 full, and this was where I really couldn't handle slapping a troll for another 50 minutes. So I pulled out the handy paralysis staff, and off went our problems. Well, one of them at least. I had forgotten that this dragon was in fact not on our team. So this was where we started playing Temple Run, but with a whole dragon on our tail. The dragon really did not let up and followed us intensely. We tried fighting it, but we did not deal any fathomable damage to it. We could only dream of killing it. So we weaved through cover, dodging its damaging spells, and trying to make the most out of our decaying mana. The more we avoid the dragon, the more annoyed it became. It kept landing spells more frequently, and our resources were dwindling. I did not have many potions left, and the amount of cover we had access to decreased the further up we went. But eventually, victory was in our grasp.
This is the final one, this is the final one. Oh, yes! Umblumtan, please, please, please tell me I completed the pilgrimage. I missed one. Oh no, I'm not gonna die. Oh, the last one. Okay, dodged it. Yes, voice of the sky added. Yes. Wait to put thing in here. Supplies.
And thus, we made it to our destination. A task so difficult, finally completed.
So, the Dragonborn appears.
That would be me. Simply put, we completed the necessary trials the Greybeards put out for us, learned the next word of our shout, and practiced it a little. Life with the Greybeards was peaceful, but almost too peaceful. After everything we've been through, it only seemed out of place. Thankfully, they gave us the task of securing the Horn of Jurgen Windcaller, and we made haste as soon as we could. However, we were met with an interesting surprise at the bottom. Cultists, by the looks of it. Some that I have never seen in my life before.
When Lord Mirak appears, all shall bear witness. None shall stand to oppose him.
But we were in fight or flight mode and had no other option but to protect our fragile lives. Thankfully, the guards were there to assist us, as well as all the tools we've acquired during our journey. The battle was going pretty well under the morning sky. As I was saying, the battle was going pretty well under the morning sky, and when peace was finally heard, I was able to find a note on one of the bodies, a letter calling us the false Dragonborn, and a certain Mirak was mentioned. I had no idea who that was, but maybe a future path will shed more answers. For now, we had a horn to retrieve, and what's the worst that could happen?